If you or a loved one is having ongoing digestive problems and are looking for an option to medication that is safe, extremely effective, and being utilized by the medical community more and more, I would encourage you to listen in for the next few minutes. Hi, I'm Dr. Mancini, the Medical Director of the Center for Integrative Care, a functional medicine and peak performance center here in San Diego. So let's start with a basic premise of digestion to work from. The digestive system is controlled and regulated by one part of the nervous system that regulates all functional processes. The same system also has another part to it that handles any type of threat or danger. Now, the system moves in one direction or the other. It can't go in both directions at the same time. In other words, if you're jumping out of the way of a car that's coming right at you, this system disengages from restorative processes like digestion and shifts resources to the legs to run. It's a great system to have when it's working correctly. Here's the challenge. When you're in chronic stress, this system is not fully engaged in digestion because, as I said earlier, resources are needed to manage the stress response. So what happens? You can't digest, absorb, and assimilate nutrients for your body to function at optimal levels, not to mention normal daily processes. Another critical factor I need to point out is when most patients tell me they just learn to live with it. Have you ever said that? What they're really saying is that they developed a way to cope with their condition at a conscious level so they can get through the day. The problem with this is the nervous system is still interpreting and processing it as a stressor and therefore still reducing gut function, shifting blood flow to the legs to run or the arms to fight or protect. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. I have patients come in and tell me that they have acid reflux, bloating, nausea, especially right after they eat, and often need to take antacids. These folks initially assume that the more stressed you are, the more acid you produce in your gut. In fact, the exact opposite happens. Let me explain. See, the production of acid in the stomach is part of a digestive process. It is not a stress response because acid, specifically hydrochloric acid, naturally increases when food, and especially protein, goes into the stomach. So why is it that people often get digestive issues like acid reflux following meals, especially when under stress? Here's why. As I mentioned earlier, when you're stressed, the digestive system shuts down and it shifts resources to areas needed to respond to danger. So if the gut is shut down and you put food into it, that food will just sit there. Now you tell me, what would happen if you put a steak in a warm, dark place and you left it there for about a day? That's right, it'll begin to putrefy. And if you put a banana in a dark, warm bag and it begins to ripen much quicker and rot. When you put food in a stomach that's not working fully, that food begins to putrefy and ferment, leading to acid reflux, gas, bloating, basically any problem from north to south, you name it. So why do antacids work? Because they're reducing the acid byproduct of undigested foods, but not the cause. That's why you gotta keep taking them forever. Now, are these medications gonna reduce your suffering? Sure they are. Is there a time and place for them? Of course, as all medicines have their place. When it comes to crisis or significant suffering, medications are a frontline therapy because they're powerful. Now, are they addressing the underlying cause? Absolutely not. So don't confuse no symptom with no problem. Patients at our center know this because they hear it all the time. Now there's more. When you are chronically stressed, you release a powerful stress hormone called cortisol that floods the system. This hormone also begins to thin the lining of your stomach. So think about this. Even when you're producing normal amounts of acids in a stomach that now has a thinner lining, what do you think is going to happen? That's right, the lining will get irritated and ulcers can happen over time. So what do? Move to Hawaii? Sure, but the only problem is you take you with you. The issue is not the environment, but how you respond to the environment. And I don't only mean the part of you that you have control over. I mean that part that's automatic and inside of you that you don't have direct control over. This is the same part that goes on automatic pilot driving your car to work while you're thinking about what you have to do that day, or talking to the passenger next to you. It's that same part that keeps your heart beating and your lungs breathing. Good thing we have this system. Now, within the same system, you've developed over time, through repetition, reactions to the environment that automatically put you in a state of anxiety, fear, worry, anger. And you say, why am I feeling like this? It's this system that's running the show, according to science, over 90% of your day. So if you do not develop strategies on interrupting, resetting, and reprogramming these patterns, you'll just keep repeating the same problems over and over again. Now, this concept is not new. The Chinese figured this out over 3,000 years ago. From a Chinese medical view, we must look at what we call the branch and the root. The branch is how your nervous system responds to the environment. In other words, the behaviors, the symptoms, signs, and disease. Basically the expressions, which the Chinese call branches. The root is the habituated negative patterns of thinking that have created those symptoms, signs, and disease. So let's dive in a bit deeper to unfold this process. Are you still with me, or have you fallen into a deep trance? Come on, stay focused. This is your health. Okay, now, if you're stuck in stress, chronically thinking about past bitter memories or future worries, that stress response is no different than running from, say, an enemy tribe. Think about this for a second. If you're running from an enemy, is it more important to have blood flow in the digestive system to break down that nutritious meal so you can assimilate it, have vitamins and minerals dispersed to your body, or into the arms to fight or protect? If you're running from that enemy, fight, protect. Now let's go downstream a bit further. If you're chronically losing function in the gut, downstream, what symptoms, signs, or disease can you have? Well, of course, gut problems like nausea, bloating. If you can't break down minerals like calcium, what could happen downstream? What kind of disease could you end up having? Osteoporosis. Also, if you have reduced gut function and your hydrochloric acid levels and your enzyme levels start to go down, you can't break down protein. Downstream, what can that look like? And I'll give you a hint. Protein is the building block of what? That's right, muscle. And did you know that one of the primary biomarkers of aging is muscle loss? So what do? Do we address the nervous system or do we fix the gut? The answer is yes, both. Because if we just work on the gut, you've not interrupted the stress response and it will return bigger, badder, and meaner simply because you've conditioned it to do that. Basically a habit. So in Chinese medicine, we cross boundaries. We do not get stuck in specific areas of the body. This is different than the traditional medical approach of going to a specialist. Think about it. If you have a digestive problem, where do you go? A gastroenterologist, right? And when you're there, you say, "Doc, I'm getting really depressed." Your GI doc will send you where? To a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Now, if you tell your psychologist that with all this stress and depression, you're having a tremendous amount of neck pain, where are they going to refer you to? That's right, an orthopedic doctor that specializes in the spine. Now, if you tell your orthopedic doc with all this stress, depression, and pain that you're starting to get sick often, developing chronic, and I'll give you a hint, ear, nose, and throat problems, where are they going to refer you to? That's right, an ENT specialist. Now, we're having fun here, but I want to point out that medical doctors, specifically in the area of specialty, specialize. So you absolutely need and want to have them all on your team. You want to have all the docs on your team because they're experts in how to address those major downstream health conditions called disease. But you don't want to live there. Now, if you have an emergency, you're not coming to our center. You're going right to the emergency room. If you're diagnosed with a severe life-limiting disease, you want a specialist on your team. At the same time, you're listening to me right now, most likely because you also want more drug-free options in your healthcare that will improve your health. You don't want to just get out of discomfort. If that were the case, you would just take more medications. Medications are powerful. There's a time and place for them. So, I'm here to give you more options that are being used in the medical system, such as biomedical acupuncture, dietary, herbal, nutritional therapy that is safe and effective. Learning stress reduction techniques that the Chinese have developed over 3,000 years that work. If not for you, think about family and friends that are looking for other options. So if you'd like to find out more about how we can assist you with your specific health concerns and how we can best integrate the use of biomedical acupuncture and other natural medical modalities along with your current healthcare that's safe and effective, contact our office to schedule a free consultation where we can answer any questions you have to find out if and how we can help you with your healthcare needs. I'm Dr. Mario Mancini, and I wish you the best.